Wild salmon is a nasty color and it tastes terrible, is what I just heard from a lady. I just did a lecture at an alternative nutritionist's office at her practice, and it was a great crowd, wonderful people, and I love to hang out afterwards and talk to people. I'm really a people person, so I really like to talk and I like to answer questions. And if it's a 30-minute speech I'm doing, I'll be there for an hour and a half, just because unless I'm in a really massive hurry to get out of there. But I just like to hang out, I like to talk to people, and I was hanging out talking, and a lady was explaining. I heard her explaining that she can't eat wild salmon. She can only eat Atlantic farm-raised salmon. Now, when you see the word Atlantic salmon, that's automatically farm-raised. There's very, 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 very little Atlantic salmon left, wild salmon in the ocean left, and it's really not available commercially. There's maybe one or two spots in Ireland or something or Scotland that, yeah, you can get. Super expensive and not much at all. It never even makes it to the U.S. It's that expensive. So when you see that term Atlantic salmon, it's farmed salmon. When you see ocean-raised salmon in the store, chances are that's farm-raised salmon. The marketers are very manipulative and they know what to say. So this lady was saying, she goes, I just eat farmed salmon and that's what I eat, because wild salmon is nasty. The color is wrong. She goes, the color's just wrong on it. And I'm thinking, well, and what I'm thinking, I said to her, actually, I said, well, the color's wrong on farm salmon. The color's right on wild salmon. Wild salmon is one that has the correct color. And she goes, no, it's just nasty. We couldn't even eat it. Me and my daughter had to throw it out. And she goes, and I love salmon and eat salmon all the time, and I know what salmon should look like, is what she said. So, people, here's the reality of this. Farmed salmon is on a very, very controlled diet. They can manipulate the color. They can tune in and dial in with the salmon feed, okay, with those pellets. The salmon food is tuned in and dialed in. It has dyes in it. If they didn't put dyes in the food, the salmon would not be pink or orange like it is. It would be a very grayish color. Certain fish, and especially salmon and trout as well, take on the color of the pigments in their diet. When I was in Colorado, when I had a restaurant in Colorado, we used to buy trout, farm-raised trout from a local farm, very small, only had 3 or 4 ponds they were raising in, super awesome operation. And every now and then, trout would come in pink. We'd get pink trout. So this was way back in my culinary career, and I said to the lady, I said, I know it's in their diet, but can you explain this to me a little further? And she goes, sure, Marcus. She goes, the one pond that we have has this freshwater crustacean. A freshwater shrimp is in this pond. The fish eat that, and thus turns the pigment of their skin. They're eating this pigment, it turns their skin. And so when you get fish that have this pinkish, orangish tinge on the flesh, she goes, those come from a specific pond in the farm that only has this type of shrimp. Only has shrimp, wild freshwater shrimp. And I said, oh, very cool. That's what I had figured. So wild salmon gets its color from the things it eats, like krill. Okay, and krill eat a ton of chlorella, and chlorella has anazacethin, which is a carotenoid. It's an antioxidant / carotenoid that then translates down the food chain and turns the flesh of the salmon orange. Now, I know some of you might say, well, certain salmon isn't orange, it's white. And those are in very, very rare cases where you get king salmon, wild king salmon from the Pacific Northwest. They call them albinos or ivories. And those fish are indeed white or ivory-fleshed salmon. A lot of people think that's a delicacy. They love it. It sells for much of a higher price. I would suggest if you ever see it out there, try it. If you're a salmon eater, totally try it. It's an interesting product. Some chefs will get that in. But other than that, all wild salmon, besides that small amount of albino salmon, all of the salmons are going to come out not the same pinkish, orangish, reddish color. They're going to vary based upon species, based upon time of the year, their diet, and those are the factors in it, and that's the reality of it. So Sockeye versus coho, two totally different colors, versus king versus chum. There's about 5 or 6 species of wild salmon on the West Coast, and all these different species are different sizes and slightly different colors. So if you're buying wild king salmon, and all of a sudden you switch to a chum salmon, to a Kita salmon, they're going to be different colors. And all of a sudden you get a sockeye, and it's bright, bright, bright. That's just varietal species differentials. Okay, so just because the wild salmon is not the same as a farm salmon, see, this person's worldview was different. This person only knew that, hey, I've been eating farmed Atlantic salmon, farm salmon for all my life, and this is what it should look like. This is what I'm used to. This is my worldview of it. So anything else must not be right. In actuality, it's the opposite. The farm salmon is the one that has the chemicals, the dyes, the fake carotenoids, or they add carotenoids to the diet, the pigments, the colorings. That's the one where they've actually manipulated and controlled to a certain extent, where they get it to be the same every time. So it's a consistent, exact, precise, colored product. And it's the same size fish. They can tune into when it's harvested, and of course what they're selling to the grocery store, to the restaurant is, this is a 9 to 12 pound fish, this is a 12 to 15 pound fish, this is a 15 to 18 pound fish. They can dial those in and just say, this is it, and here you go, bam, 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 same color across the board. So the consumer who's been consuming this is now confused when they switch to a wild salmon that's eaten a natural diet that has tons more nutrients, much more omegas. I shouldn't say much more omegas, because they've, again, tuned or dialed in the feed of the salmon where they boost the omegas up, but they've also boosted the fat content way, way up, and they've also boosted the PCBs, the dioxins, all that, the contaminants way, way up in this fish, because all those contaminants are typically fat soluble, so they stick in with the fat of the fish, and the more the fish is fatter, these farm fish, the more contaminants it has. This has been proven over and over and over again. In fact, there's certain countries in like Norway and stuff, they've put out notices, doctors have put out notices, organizations put out notices, say, hey, no more than one piece of farmed salmon per month, because the stuff is loaded with contaminants. If you are going to eat salmon, wild salmon is totally the way to go. Go to a health food store. I always tell people, go to a health food store, buy it frozen. Don't go to a fish market unless it's super fresh in season. Your best bet is go to a health food store, buy the stuff that's wild, go to Whole Foods, go to any other independent, minimally owned health food store that has a great freezer section, and buy frozen salmon. It's super fresh, because what happens is they freeze the fish once they catch it. So they catch it on the dock, on the boat, and it's frozen right away. It's packaged. It has no time to start the aging process, because it's frozen right away. And those are super, super fresh, fresher than fresh. Don't be nervous that it's frozen. You want to think that it's fresh. There's 0 microbes in it when you defrost it, or very low microbes. The other fish has been out of the water for 5 days, 10 days, 12 days. It's been decomposing. It's been aging for that long. That's not fresh anymore. So stick with the wild salmon. Deal with its imperfections. Deal with the different sizes. Deal with the different pigments. And that's the story on salmon, wild salmon versus Atlantic salmon.